आप देख रहे हैं राज्यसभा टीवी। मैं हूं अमृता। तो अभी आप 2016-17 का बजट देख रहे थे। बजट को प्रस्तुत कर रहे थे वित्त मंत्री अरुण जेटली। सबसे ज़्यादा जो फोकस उनका बजट में रहा वो कृषि क्षेत्र को लेकर रहा। रूरल सेक्टर में जिस तरह के इन्वेस्टमेंट की तरफ उन्होंने इशारा किया, उसमें सबसे बड़ी बात जो आज के बजट में कही जा सकती है, उन्होंने कहा कि ग्रामीण सेक्टर में जो हम बजट देने जा रहे हैं उसमें किसानों की आमदनी 2022 तक यानी अगले 5-6 साल में दोगुनी कर दी जाएगी। इसके अलावा भी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और टैक्सेशन पे भी बहुत सारी बातें कही हैं। हमारे साथ हमारे सहयोगी गिरीश हैं। गिरीश, आगे बढ़ाएंगे चर्चा को।
Welcome. It was almost 105 minutes that the finance minister took to present his budget this year. It's a very exhaustive budget. I'm sure there are a lot of issues which needs to be discussed throughout the day today. And also there are some very interesting taxation proposals, some of which are obviously aimed at giving some relief to the common man. We will discuss all these things today with the guests here in the studio and also outside. In the studio we have with us Sanjay Kumar, who is a senior advisor at Deloitte. We have Yatish Rajawat, a senior journalist, and also Priyaranjan Dash, who is also a senior journalist. Welcome to all of you. Sanjay Kumar, coming to you first. Some interesting tax proposals and which is aimed at giving a lot of relief to the common man. Absolutely. Because I'm sure a lot of people would like to know what is there for them, the ordinary people here.
Yes, there have been some changes in the tax proposals, and I think it's overall the idea, as the finance minister himself said, that the idea is to put some more money in the hands of the taxpayer. Now, he has increased if somebody does not have a house, then some HRA provisions have been increased. That's a very important one.
That's a substantial increase.
लेकिन उसका दूसरा मतलब ये भी हुआ कि जो लोग सरकारी घरों में रहते हैं उनके बहुत ज़्यादा पैसे कट जाएंगे। जो 24,000 कटता था वो अब 60,000 रुपए कटेगा।
वो तो ठीक है, बट उनको तो ऐसे ही वो मिल रहा है। It's a kind of privilege that they get, but common man, हर आदमी सरकारी नहीं है।
This is a major, substantial increase, 25,000 to
60,000.
24,000 to 60,000.
60,000, and I would consider that to be a very healthy sign, because that is a very distressful, because ultimately you have to pay rent, because you have to keep your family.
एक और बहुत अच्छा इनिशिएटिव कहा जा सकता है। जो नए कर्मचारी हैं उनको 3 साल तक सरकार जो है 8.33% का ब्याज देगी, प्रॉफिट देगी, प्रोविडेंट फंड देगी ईपीएफ में।
यस, वो एक बड़ा अच्छा है, बिकॉज एक तो बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट बात है कि हमारे सोशल सिक्योरिटी नेटवर्क बहुत स्ट्रांग नहीं है। सो people will get encouraged to be part of it, and because government gives them, and so they will get registered, etc. And subsequently they can carry it on for some more time.
Sanjay, this is generation thing. Sorry, Sanjay, Yatish, I want you to first let us see what are the benefits for the taxpayer.
Benefits for the taxpayer. I thought you should look at what are the benefits for the economy first.
No, first let's look at we'll come to the economy.
We all are
because people, I'm sure first the people, ordinary people who are watching would like to know what is there for them in this budget. Yeah. So let us start from there. As Sanjay pointed out, this HRA deduction, increase in the HRA deduction, and then what else?
Another thing which finance minister announced was the presumptive taxation, because that's for the small taxpayers, those who have their own businesses, etc. And these are the small businesses. Earlier they had they would get taxed and come in. They will have to lot more compliance burden in terms in case their turnover goes above ₹1 crore. So that has been increased to 2 crores. I'm not particularly happy with that, but at least there is some change.
Why are you not happy?
Because it's 1 crore was a very old one, and so basically what has been done is then been indexed with the inflation and made it to 2 crores, which is
did you expect it to be increased?
I would say that on presumptive taxation we need to bring a lot more, and because if you see presumptive taxation basically covers large number of people who are working in the informal sector, and to that extent, and the whole tax evasion issue or the coverage, even the tax net issue, is largely on the presumptive taxation. The higher tax bracket taxpayers basically have tax avoidance issues, but the lower ones, they are not in the tax net. So this would encourage people to come in the tax net, because and it has been kept at 8% of the turnover. So that could have also been changed.
Okay.
You know,
Yatish, what are your first impressions?
एक यतीश, इसी में एक सवाल मैं भी जोड़ना चाहूँगी कि जो मिडिल क्लास है, जिसकी आमदनी 5 लाख से ऊपर वाली है, जो ये उम्मीद कर रहा था कि 2.5 लाख से कुछ ज़्यादा बढ़ा देंगे छूट, टैक्स छूट, उसमें कोई बदलाव नहीं है।
हाँ तो देखिए
क्योंकि 5 लाख की आमदनी वाले तो बहुत कम लोग हैं।
नहीं 5 लाख की आमदनी से कम 2 करोड़ टैक्स पेयर 5 लाख की आमदनी से कम है। हाँ। मिडिल क्लास के तबके में भी लोग हैं और उनको जनरल डिडक्शन की लिमिट उन्होंने बढ़ाई नहीं है। बजट स्पीच पे तो नहीं कहा है उन्होंने कि जनरल बजट डिडक्शन की स्पीच बढ़ाई है, लेकिन शायद कुछ फाइनेंस बिल में कोई डिटेल उसके बारे में हो जो हम अभी नहीं पढ़ पाए। ज़्यादा फेरबदल उन्होंने बड़ा, मतलब जो HRA वाला पार्ट है ना, वो उसके 2 पार्ट्स है। एक तो उसका इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है इंडिविजुअल टैक्स पेयर पे और दूसरा उसका इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है रियल एस्टेट इंडस्ट्री पे। तो मतलब एक हाथ से उन्होंने दिया है, बट उन्होंने उसको उसकी कोशिश ये की है कि वो 60,000 रुपये कहाँ जाएंगे फाइनली, रियल एस्टेट में जाएंगे, इंडस्ट्री में जाएंगे। क्योंकि आपने जो पहले आपको रेंट की डिडक्शन 24,000 मिलती थी, अब आपको 60,000 मिलेगी। यही काम उन्होंने इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट पे भी किया है। उस पर भी उन्होंने, आई थिंक दे मेड अ चेंज ऑन इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट। अगर आपका लोन 35 लाख तक है तो आपको 50,000 तक पर साल की डिडक्शन देंगे, तब तक आपका घर 50 लाख के नीचे है।
That is housing loans.
Housing loan. So housing loans, you see what has happened that, you know, maximum number of houses for middle class, you don't buy a 1 crore house, you buy between the 35 lakh and 50 lakh range. So he's increased the interest deduction on that loan, which is, I think, again, is not increasing the deduction, but he's asking you to basically buy a new house and get that saving in.
Yeah, that's right. Let us get Priyaranjan. What are your first impressions? You know, what is there for the common man, and then we'll come to the economy and other things.
Well, the common man, I think we have to the extent the details are available, we have already discussed some of the personal tax proposals that's been made in the budget for the benefit of common people, especially in the housing sector. That's been mentioned. So, I would like to first look at the overall budget. If you
let us start.
permit
Okay.
me. So, if you look at the overall budget, I think his priorities are all right, and the Prime Minister said that it was his exam day today.
And you think he has passed?
I think he's passed with flying colors.
He is passed with flying colors. Okay.
Because overall, if you look at it, as the Finance Minister himself explained, the challenge that he was facing was how to correct the government finances, how to keep his budget, and within that, how he could meet these competing demands that were required because of the exigencies facing the economy. Now, in terms of the exigency facing economy, the task was to boost the growth rate, create jobs. Okay? That being the case, what was required was public investment to be stepped up.
Right.
And especially rural economy and the farm sector, which have suffered in the last 2 years because of a variety of reasons, including bad weather, drought, and things like that. How to give the rural economy and the agriculture sector a boost, which in turn comes to the aid of the overall economy.
Okay.
Because
so what are the measures you think? What are the measures you think he has taken to boost the rural sector and the agriculture economy, which is what and that there seems to be a very significant shift towards the rural sector, because obviously in the last few months we have been watching how the government is trying to shift its focus towards the agriculture and rural economy.
Absolutely. Means the budget has a blanket or an umbrella policy statement saying that by 2022, the objective of all government policies and intervention in the agricultural sector are going to be aimed at increasing the farmer's income or doubling it from the
That's what the
present
Prime
level.
Minister said.
Now, if that's not a very big task, but it's a goal worth pursuing for the government. And keeping that goal in mind, the budget is emphasizing on irrigation, that is getting water to the land, which will help actually raise farm productivity to begin with, and to bring in technological support to the farmer and credit supports to the farmer. And he is creating, there is an attempt, and there are several proposals in the budget to create one national agricultural market, so that from the farm to the consumer, agricultural marketing becomes more efficient and rewarding from the point of view of the farmer.
Okay.
लेकिन रूरल इकोनॉमी और ख़ास तौर से रूरल वेजेस के बारे में भी ये माना जा रहा था कि बहुत ज़्यादा डाउन चला गया है। रूरल वेजेस को बढ़ाने के लिए क्या इस बजट में कोई प्रावधान है?
देखिए, दो तीन चीजें हैं जो
क्योंकि उनकी आमदनी भी घट गई थी और उनकी परचेजिंग पावर भी घट गई थी, दोनों ही घट गई थी।
आमदनी घट जाएगी तो खर्चा कैसे करेंगे? तो एक जो चीज अच्छी की है वो है कि मनरेगा का इन्होंने एलोकेशन जो 38,500 करोड़ कर दिया, जो पिछले साल 25,000 करोड़ करीब था। उसमें क्या
This is supposed to be the highest allocation for
This is supposed to be the highest.
MTNREGA.
But we also need to compare it with what was utilized last year, because I believe the utilization rate has gone down substantially, because there has been no push from the
यूटिलाइजेशन रेट आई थिंक बढ़ा था, तभी उन्होंने मनरेगा के पैसे बढ़ाने की अभी हाल में सिफारिश की।
वो फिगर देखनी पड़ेगी अभी मनरेगा की क्या आई है। एक जो डायरेक्ट
Insofar as Manrega is concerned, Manrega is a demand-based
program,
in the sense that, you know, if the year is going to be bad agriculture-wise, then there will naturally be, it's supposed to be an employment.
डिमांड बढ़ेगी।
But once you've allocated that thing, it is allocated to the states based on the requirement the state puts up, based on how many people in their state are below the poverty line. So the allocation happens on 100 days of X number of people who are below. So that's why, you know, states still want to be below poverty line.
मेरा पूछने का मतलब ये था कि जो ये अभी वित्त मंत्री जी ने अनाउंसमेंट किया है, उसमें रूरल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को बढ़ाने पे ज्यादा जोर है या वेजेस को बढ़ाने पर ज्यादा जोर है? लोगों के हाथ में ज्यादा पैसे देने पर
कमाई आप कैसे देंगे किसान की अगर आपको हाथ में कमाई देनी है, तो या तो उसकी जो प्रोड्यूस कर रहा है उसके दाम बेहतर करिए, या फिर उसको डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट दीजिए कि उसके मतलब डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर करिए कुछ, तो या उसकी उपज बढ़ा दीजिए। जैसे उपज बढ़ाएंगे तो आमदनी बढ़ेगी। तो उस पे उपज बढ़ाने पे जो काम हुआ है वो दो तरफा हुआ है। एक, इन्होंने पहली बार इरिगेशन पे
20,000 करोड़ रुपए का अनाउंसमेंट किया।
नहीं, एक नाबार्ड के साथ 25,000 करोड़ का तो उन्होंने एक फंड सेटअप किया है, जो लॉन्ग टर्म इरिगेशन फंड के नाम से किया है।
ओके।
दूसरा, आप जानते हैं कि हमारे देश में आज की तारीख में खासतौर से जो पंजाब, हरियाणा, हिमाचल और वेस्टर्न यूपी में है कि ग्राउंड वाटर कंप्लीटली डिप्लीट हो गया है। डार्क एरियाज कहा जाता है, यूएन ने उसको कहा है कि वी आर हेडेड टुवर्ड्स अ वाटर क्राइसिस।
राइट
जी।
तो इन्होंने उस पे करीब मतलब एक काफ़ी बड़ी अमाउंट एलोकेट की है ग्राउंड वाटर रिसोर्सेज को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए, जो आज से पहले कभी फोकस ही नहीं रहा। 60,000 करोड़, इट्स अ big amount.
2.87, Sanjay, you know, agriculture credit, you know, that's where the focus seems to be, because, you know, he's talking of 9 lakh crores which is being allocated for agriculture credit. How important is it?
It's very important. In fact, you know, adding to what has just been spoken, the other very important thing is that what he has talked about is that the fertilizer, the use of chemical fertilizer, moving to now to the organic one, which is the compost, you know, fertilizer, which I think is a very, very important thing, because if you see, you know, Punjab particularly had which had a very good productivity, started going down over the years because of the mining of the micronutrients in the soil, and that needs to be replenished. You know, earlier the zincated urea and all these schemes were brought in by the fertilizer ministry, but it didn't work because ultimately there was no subsidy for the addition of the micronutrient. But this scheme, which now the finance minister is saying, that the government is saying, we need to bring on the, and improve on the fertilizer, and thereby they are also trying to move some amount of subsidy and also a certain emphasis to the compost fertilizer. I think is a very, very good thing, because ultimately the agriculture has to be sustainable on two things. One, the fertilizer usage, and the second one, when I say fertilizer, it also includes the organic fertilizer, and the second one is the irrigation, because in India there are basically two issues. One, that our farm sizes are very low, so farmers don't get enough amount of, they are not viable in that way. The second is that the water is a big issue. So now he is trying to address the third one, which is the soil, which is connected to the farm. So together, these two issues of irrigation and the soil treatment through the fertilizer treatment, I think it's a very, very good step and will improve.
एक और उन्होंने
And coming back to the credit, of course, the credit has to be made available to the farmers. Otherwise, how are they going to carry on the agriculture?
एक और उन्होंने अनाउंसमेंट किया है कि 6 साल में डिजिटल साक्षरता बढ़ाएंगे और वो गाँव तक भी ले जाएंगे। इससे ग्रामीण लोगों को क्या फ़ायदा होगा? क्या ये एक अच्छा कदम कहा जा सकता है?
साक्षरता का तो इशू ये है कि हर आदमी को साक्षर होना चाहिए, और इस पे कोई दो मत नहीं है। जहाँ तक गवर्नमेंट का उसमें एक बहुत बड़ा रोल है कि आप लोगों को साक्षर कराएं, ताकि जो प्रोग्राम्स हैं, जो इनिशिएटिव्स हैं गवर्नमेंट का, उसको भी ये एक्सेस कर पाएँ। अदरवाइज तो ये एक्सेस नहीं हो पाएगा। एक ज़माने में प्रौढ़ शिक्षा अभियान था, एक ज़माने में और भी अभियान थे, बट किसी हद तक कहीं पर जा कर के हम रुक गए और हमने ट्रैक चेंज कर दिया। सो कुछ भी हम करें, साक्षरता तो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, उस पर तो कोई दो मत नहीं हो सकता।
Sorry, Priyaranjan, it's very interesting. Here, the finance minister has some vision. He has a vision. He's talking about 9 pillars of his budget. These 9 pillars are agriculture and farmers' welfare, rural sector, social sector, including healthcare, education, skills and job creation, infrastructure, financial sector reforms, ease of doing business, fiscal discipline, tax reforms to reduce compliance burden. So you think he has this clear vision, and how is he going to proceed towards it? And you see that vision being transformed into some kind of a, you see a path set for that?
Yes, absolutely. There is. Except I would say that insofar as the last one is concerned, which is
tax reforms to reduce compliance.
Yes. I can understand that on the goods and services tax, he has had nothing much to say in the budget.
Yes.
But so that is about the indirect taxes, and we know that we are all as a country waiting for this huge reforms in indirect tax system,
right,
which is supposed to come via goods and services tax or GST. Now, but what has it done insofar as direct taxes, that is income tax, corporate tax are concerned? If you look at that, this year's budget proposals, the details, subject to looking at the details, what I can see are adding to the problem, the maze of incentives and exemptions which are there. And it is further complicating the regime
Why do you
rather
say
than
that?
simplifying.
Priyaranjan, why are you saying that?
Although,
why do you say that?
I'm saying that because if you look at the various concessions, user specific or taxpayer specific, or to various sections that's been provided, be they in terms of in savings incentives that have been provided or otherwise. Now that makes the income tax system even more complicated, and we are still waiting for the direct tax code, which
Yes. Okay.
The Income Tax Act
No, that's right.
1961.
No, let me get. You made a very interesting point, Sanjay. How do you react to that? Has it become more complicated from all this?
You know, somebody.
No, if I could just add one.
Yes,
So
yes.
this is about insofar as the simplicity of the system is concerned, that I think it makes it more complex, number one. Number two, if you look at it, he has made several proposals and in fact open a window for settlement of various tax litigations that are going on. And thereby, he said that some 5.5 lakh crore of revenue is locked up in tax disputes.
Right.
Disputes, and he's trying to provide a window for settlement. In doing so, what I could see from the proposals that he has made, I thought that he has gone on to increase the discretionary power of the tax officials.
Okay.
And
आपको रोकेंगे
Sorry,
गिरीश,
sorry.
and
So, no, sorry,
in-
Priyaranjan, we have to go to our colleague. Our
बीजेपी
colleague.
दफ्तर में है जी। अखिलेश, आप बीजेपी दफ्तर में हैं। वित्त मंत्री अरुण जेटली ने जो आज अपना बजट प्रस्तुत किया है, बीजेपी में क्या कहा जा रहा है इस बजट को लेकर?
देखिए, बीजेपी में अभी आधिकारिक तौर पे अमित शाह जो बीजेपी के प्रेसिडेंट हैं वो अभी थोड़ी देर में अपना बयान देंगे, लेकिन इसके पहले जो और सारे अधिकारी बीजेपी के पदाधिकारी मौजूद हैं उनका कहना है कि यह जो बजट है वह गरीबों के हित वाला बजट है, कृषि के हित वाला बजट है और मध्य वर्ग को और ज़्यादा सहूलियतें देने वाला बजट है। साथ साथ में जो छोटे उद्योग हैं उनको सहूलियतें मिलेगी और उन उद्योगों में जो काम करने वाले मजदूर हैं उनको सहूलियत देने वाला बजट है। मतलब यह कि चुनाव के लिहाज से अगर देखा जाए तो शायद बीजेपी के लिहाज से इससे अच्छा बजट कोई नहीं हो सकता।
जी, यतीश, मैं आप रुकेगा हमारे साथ। यतीश, एक जो अभी हाल के चुनाव हुए हैं बिहार के, क्या उससे ये सबक लेते हुए बीजेपी ने बजट बनाए हैं?
देखिए, आप
क्या इसे कहा जा सकता है?
आप जानती हैं अभी आगे जाके पांच
राज्यों में और
राज्यों
चुनाव
में
होने
और
वाले
सारे के सारे ये राज्य कृषि केंद्रित है। वैसे तो सभी राज्य कृषि केंद्रित है बारिंग नॉर्थ ईस्ट या जम्मू कश्मीर। तो मतलब फोकस जो कृषि पे रहा है इस बजट में उसका आप राजनीति एंगल देख सकते हैं, लेकिन मैं राजनीति के अलावा आपको ये भी देखना पड़ेगा कि कृषि आखिरकार जब इकोनॉमी पूरी थम हो गई है, इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं हो रही है, कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर पिछले 3 साल में कोई फ्रेश इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं कर रहा है, तो आपको कंजम्पशन लेड डिमांड से ही इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ लानी पड़ेगी और उसके लिए आपको सबसे बड़ा तबका आपका कृषक किसान है। तो अब आप उसको इस तरफ से दीजिए, ऐसे दीजिए, अब दीजिए, अब देना बहुत ज़रूरी था। अगर आप इसको और डिले करते हैं तो हम स्लो डाउन की तरफ जा रहे थे।
Okay, Sanjay, as far as the tax reforms are concerned, much was expected of him. You think he has taken some hard decisions? Do you see any hard decisions being taken there?
I would say that it is actually not very hard decisions. One of the very important things that needed to be done was to improve on the tax administration. On that, he has selectively picked up the dispute redressal channels,
right,
and tried to make it a very, very if the tax demand has been raised, then you can go and say that up to 10 lakhs, then you pay certain amounts, and then beyond 10 lakhs, then you pay certain amount. Now, please understand that the demands are being raised by the assessing officers, sometimes not with very founded evidences. Okay, there are also surmises. There are also preventive assessments. Now, in that whole scenario, how will this work? Is that not a little punitive on the taxpayers? And to that extent, I would say that the dispute resolution, somebody has to see the little bit of detail also. But many other countries have very, very different ones. They have a settlement, they have a negotiations, and all those things. Some element of negotiations and settlement kind of conciliation and settlement kind of elements have been brought in, but it had to be done a little bit more.
What about the tax tribunals?
One interesting thing is done on the tax tribunal is that if they fail to refund your tax within 90 days, is increase the interest rate, and he said that the officer responsible for that will be responsible for the revenue loss to the government because of the higher interest outgo. So I mean, I would have liked to see more of this personal responsibility of tax officers when it comes to assessment, compliance, and even ensuring a penalty is insured, and then looking at let the other guy, the taxpayer, fight it out in the court. But typically, that is the situation which happens.
If I can just add to that, if you make the tax department, through these kind of small changes and try and say that it will be your personal liability if you don't do that, then typically what will be my response? My response will be, I would not do any of the things which leads to a little bit of, this salary cut or that kind of action. So what you needed to do is to bring in a little more comprehensiveness to this dispute resolution method, which I don't think has happened.
Okay.
It has been selective, it has been peripheral, it has not been comprehensive.
He's not gone the whole.
He's not gone the whole hog.
हम ये चर्चा जारी रखेंगे, लेकिन आगे बढ़े उससे पहले अब तक की सुर्खियां देख लेते हैं कि इस बजट में क्या-क्या ऐलान किया गया है। संसद में वित्तीय वर्ष 2016-17 का बजट पेश, सामाजिक, ग्रामीण और कृषि क्षेत्र में खर्च बढ़ाने पर जोर, बुनियादी ढांचा, सामाजिक सुरक्षा, शिक्षा, रोजगार समेत 9 क्षेत्रों को मजबूत करने की तैयारी। छोटे करदाताओं को राहत, 5 लाख तक आय पर 3,000 की अतिरिक्त कर छूट, मकान किराए में 60,000 तक की छूट, आयकर स्लैब में बदलाव नहीं। ग्रामीण विकास के लिए 87,700 करोड़ रुपए, पंचायतों और निगमों के आवंटन में 288% की बढ़ोतरी, मनरेगा के लिए 38,500 करोड़ रुपए की राशि। किसानों की आमदनी अगले 5 साल में दोगुनी करने का लक्ष्य, 20,000 करोड़ रुपए से बनेगी सिंचाई निधि, जैविक खेती के लिए 412 करोड़ रुपए। रेलवे और सड़क परिवहन में होगा 2 लाख करोड़ से ज्यादा का निवेश, अगले 2 साल में खोले जाएंगे 62 नवोदय विद्यालय, हर परिवार को 1 लाख का स्वास्थ्य बीमा। तो हमने आपको दिखाया है कि किन किन सेक्टर्स में, किन किन क्षेत्रों में वित्त मंत्री का जोर है और किस तरह से उन्होंने अपने बजट को फोकस किया है। सबसे ज़्यादा माना जा रहा है कि गरीब किसानों पर और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सेक्टर में उन्होंने जोर दिया है बजट को पेश करते हुए। लेकिन फिस्कल डेफिसिट जो है उसका भी एक लक्ष्य रखा गया था 3.5% करने का। प्रियरंजन, क्या इस लक्ष्य को छूने की कोशिश की है वित्त मंत्री जी ने?
हाँ, उन्होंने 3.5 पे ही रखा है उसको, जो कि FRBM एक्ट का मैंडेटेड रोड मैप था ना। ये माना जा रहा था कि उनके लिए सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज या चुनौती यही था कि क्या वो फिस्कल रोड मैप को स्टिक करते हुए जो अर्थव्यवस्था में और जो चुनौतियां हैं उन चुनौतियों को मीट कर सकते हैं। तो उन्होंने ये कर दिखाया है कि वो फिस्कल करेक्शन के साथ साथ जहां पब्लिक इन्वेस्टमेंट, जैसे कि आपने बताया, एग्रीकल्चर में और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में स्टेप अप किया है, बढ़ाया है, और फिस्कल डेफिसिट टारगेट को भी मीट किया है।
जी, तो ये जो उन्होंने आंकड़ा दिया है, आपको लगता है ये विश्वसनीय आंकड़ा है, रियलिस्टिक है?
अभी देखिए, ये कहना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है कि बजट में जो आंकड़े रहते हैं वो साल के अंत में कहाँ तक रिफ्लेक्ट होता है। लेकिन अगर इस साल को आप देखिएगा तो श्री अरुण जेटली का रिकॉर्ड जो है वो अच्छा रहा है, क्योंकि इस साल भी उन्होंने कहा था कि फिस्कल डेफिसिट को 3.9% में रखेंगे।
And he has managed to retain the 3.9%. Okay, we are now joined in by a new guest, Mr. Ajay Dua. Ajay Dua is a former secretary in the Ministry of Industry and Commerce. Welcome, Mr. Ajay Dua. What are your first reactions?
Good budget. I think the finance minister has tried to do a lot, though the fiscal space which we are just talking about right now was fairly limited for him. In fact, I fear that he's tried to do far too much, and that the focus on growth, which should have been in this budget probably, has got diluted to some extent. And
in containing deficit.
in one, containing deficit, that's the largest space which the finance ministers have to operate in. Second, the compulsions of democracy, which is moving towards a budget.
मतलब पॉपुलिस्ट बजट पेश करने के लिए आप ये कह रहे हैं कि कहीं ग्रोथ पे नहीं असर पड़ जाता?
जी हाँ, ये मुझे सबसे बड़ा.
Why do you say that? Is the focus on rural sector, is that where your problem lies? Or is there too much of subsidies which
no
have been
problem.
granted?
In fact, I welcome it so much.
Then where do you see the problem?
Girish, I'm so happy that for the first time from this government we are seeing a real focus on the rural sector, on agriculture, which is a welcome, very welcome measure. Otherwise, that's the sector which has to some extent been neglected, and that's the one which is facing rural distress, monsoon, lack of productivity, etc. So I'm very happy about it.
But लेकिन आपकी चिंता है कि ग्रोथ पर असर ना पड़े?
उसका ग्रोथ, एग्रीकल्चर में हम जो भी कुछ करते हैं उसका एक जेस्टेशन पीरियड लंबा होता है. अब हम 77,000 करोड़ का इन्वेस्टमेंट कह रहे हैं इरिगेशन प्रोजेक्ट्स होगा, बहुत डिजायरेबल है, पर ये प्रोजेक्ट्स एक साल में आपको नहीं कुछ देने वाले, रिजल्ट मिलने वाला. वो आपको इफेक्ट होगा ग्रोथ रेट के ऊपर, पर वो आपको ग्रामीण लोगों में जो लोग हैं उनको फ़ायदा होगा, एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्शन बढ़ेगा, इन्फ्लेशन के ऊपर फ़ायदा होगा, वो सब चीज़ें बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. सेकंड जो हम कह रहे हैं, हमने 15 इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में जो एक्चुअल खर्चा किया है वो बहुत अच्छी बात है.
2.21 lakh crores is the
Yes, sir, but we
allocation.
also compare it with what it is in the past. How much is the increase? I come to a larger question. We have had a higher public expenditure by 15% this year.
15%?
15%.
हाँ.
उसके अंदर lot of it is not growth, not necessarily on growth. Out of 15.96 lakh, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पे 2.21 करोड़ जो फिगर आपने बताया. हमें जरूरत था इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पे और भी ज़्यादा खर्चा करने की, कारण प्राइवेट सेक्टर अपना इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं कर रहा. प्राइवेट सेक्टर को जो शॉर्टफॉल हो रहा था, बहुत लोगों की अपेक्षा थी कि ये हम सरकारी खर्चे से कर पाएंगे, पर अगर हमारे पास पैसे ही नहीं तो कैसे करेंगे. और साथ साथ हमें कृषि और ग्रामीण क्षेत्र को भी देखना था, जिसका इफेक्ट इतना ही सोशल है जितना ग्रोथ के ऊपर है. तो
मतलब प्राइवेट सेक्टर पर भरोसा करने के बजाय गवर्नमेंट ने खुद जो है इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सेक्टर में
और करने की आवश्यकता थी, कारण पिछले 3 साल से प्राइवेट सेक्टर इन्वेस्टमेंट काफ़ी नहीं कर रहा, जितनी उचित चाहिए थी उतनी नहीं हो रही थी. इसलिए हमें, मेरी अपेक्षा थी कि ये और होगा. दूसरा, public sector banks, जिनकी
we will come to that. We'll come to that, recapitalization and things like that, what has been proposed. But meanwhile, we have a guest, Subodh Bhargava. He's the past president of the CII with us. Mr. Bhargava, what are your first reactions? Do you think that this budget has elements which can help in push the manufacturing sector? How do you look at this?
Not significantly. To my mind, barring the agriculture and rural sectors, it's a bit confusing, and it would not uplift the mood of the economy and the players in the economy, because it's partly confusing too. The Infrastructure Act in respect of renewables and roads has been rolled out during the last year, and this will pick up momentum for that limited growth window available. But on the other sectors, there doesn't seem to be anything specific. In fact, manufacturing, with the automobile sector, tinkering of the excise and changing of the duties, if anything, would get negatively impacted.
तो आप अगर मैं हिंदी में आपसे सवाल पूछना चाहूँ तो क्या आप ये कह रहे हैं कि इस पूरे बजट से कहीं उद्योग जगत में निराशा है, और ख़ास तौर से ऑटोमोबाइल सेक्टर में?
जी हाँ, बिल्कुल निराशा है. एक उम्मीद सिर्फ ये है कि अगर रूरल फार्मर्स की इनकम बढ़ेगी और उससे कुछ मार्केट में बढ़ोतरी होगी तो कुछ थोड़े समय के बाद उसका कुछ रिजल्ट मिल सकता है, पर शॉर्ट टर्म में
शॉर्ट टर्म गेन
उद्योग का दृष्टिकोण है, मैं समझता हूं कि वो बहुत हद तक निराशाजनक ही है। खासकर जो वित्त मंत्री ने कहा कि उनके 9 मुद्दे ऐसे हैं जिसकी प्रायोरिटी रहेगी, पर उसमें 3 के अलावा बाकियों पर कुछ खास जोर नहीं है। और खासकर जो टैक्स को सिंप्लीफिकेशन की उन्होंने बात कही, वो तो मैं कहूँगा कि बिल्कुल भी दृष्टिकोण में नहीं है, क्योंकि एक तरफ तो एग्जम्पशन हटाने की बात है अगले कुछ सालों में, दूसरी तरफ नए एग्जम्पशंस अनाउंस किए, नए क्लासिफिकेशंस प्रोडक्ट्स और सर्विसेज में अनाउंस किए, तो जिसके लिए कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी बढ़ेगी और मैं समझता हूँ लीगल केसेस भी सेटल नहीं हो पाएंगे जिसकी की आशा की जा रही थी।
Okay, Mr. Bhargava. On that note, I think thanks for joining with us. And we have also R.V. Kanoria, who is a former chairman of FICCI and also the MD of Kanoria Chemicals. Mr. Kanoria, what is your first reaction? Mr. Bhargava of the CIA doesn't seem to be too excited about it.
I think there are two parts to it. One is that if we look at it from the point of view of demand stimulation, the spending in infrastructure and in the rural economy, and plus the recommendations of the new pay commission is going to bring a lot of money into the system.
Right.
And that will result in increased demand, which will ultimately should improve capacity utilization in industry and then stimulate investment. But if we talk of investment from the point of view of any direct provisions in the budget, I think there is disappointment, because the roadmap for tax reduction has not really been very enunciated, and one would have to read the print to understand in greater detail. But there have been, some provisions.
Mr. Kanoria, sorry to intervene.
One is,
Mr. Kanoria, sorry to intervene. When you're talking of direct investments, what were your expectations?
I would have thought that there must be more disposable income with the corporates to ultimately invest, and there must be some incentives to also to actually spend money to create new capacity, and I think that's there is no real measure. In fact, for example, the dividend distribution tax, now there's an additional tax of 10% on income which you derive after having paid corporate tax. You pay again dividend distribution tax, and then you will have to pay another 10% on what you get as dividend. Now there are these kind of dampeners which are there, which don't really help in the system. So my view is that there is no measure which stimulates investment directly.
जी, इंडस्ट्रियल प्रोडक्शन पहले भी घट रहा था, और जिस तरह से इंडस्ट्री के लोग बता रहे हैं, ऐसा लग रहा है कि उनको बहुत ज़्यादा उम्मीद थी कि टैक्स प्रोसेस जो है वो सिंप्लीफाई होगा, आसान होगा, लेकिन उनका एक तरह से आशंका है उनकी कि ये और ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड होने वाला है। क्या कहेंगे आप?
कुछ तो चीज़ें बदली हैं, मतलब अगर आप देखें, बट वो एग्जेम्पशंस को विड्रॉवल की बात है, एक्सेलरेटेड डिप्रिसिएशन को कम करने की बात है, R&D में जो इन्वेस्टमेंट हो रहा था उसको कम करने की बात है, तो कुछ इनसे थोड़ा सा टैक्स तो बढ़ेगा ही। बट अगर आप ओवरऑल देखें कि अगर इन सबसे करने से भी फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर को कितना एक्स्ट्रा पैसा मिलता है, तो उन्होंने कहा कि मैं इन सारे प्रपोजल्स को लाने के बाद भी 1000 करोड़ की मुझे कमी होगी, -1000 crore. This is what he said. And on the customs and central excise, on the indirect taxes, उन्होंने कहा कि 20,000 करोड़ रुपया, तो ओवरऑल करीब 19,612 और समथिंग का उन्होंने एक फिगर दिया। सो कहीं ना कहीं तो कॉर्पोरेट जो प्रॉफिट है वो जंप नहीं कर रहा है, कहीं ना कहीं तो कुछ सम बूस्टर इज रिक्वायर्ड टू take the corporate tax buoyancy to a healthy level of at least 1%, जो कि इस वक्त नहीं है। और वो चीज़ when I say corporate, I also include the personal income tax, and together even the economic survey has said that the tax buoyancy is less than 1, and that is a big worry for me.
Sanjay, sorry, we will come back to it. We now have some political reactions coming from various people. Let's go and listen to what they say.
Budget of future clarifications, there is no immediate stimulus to create disposable incomes in the hands of the people or to generate employment. Unfortunately, what needed to be done has not been done.
स्वास्थ्य में गरीब के लिए 1 लाख रुपए तक हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन का खर्चा सरकार उठाएगी, उसको करना नहीं पड़ेगा। ये गरीब के लिए बड़ी बड़ी सौगात है और ये बहुत ही प्रोग्रेसिव विजनरी बजट है।
जो उन्होंने यूपीए की सरकार से अपनी तुलना की, वो तुलना भी गलत है। इसमें ना तो कोई विजन है, ना कोई नया आइडिया है और ना ही उन्होंने अपनी कल्पना के अनुसार ऐसी कोई दिशा देश की अर्थव्यवस्था को दिखाई है जिससे अर्थव्यवस्था और आगे बढ़े।
Okay.
तो दो कांग्रेस के नेता थे जो निराशा जता रहे हैं, लेकिन बीजेपी के नेता गरीबों का बजट बता रहे हैं और कह रहे हैं कि गरीबों को अगर अस्पताल जाना हो तो उन्हें 1 लाख की छूट मिल सकती है।
These are very predictable reactions coming from various political parties. Now we have Dr. Naushad Forbes, co-chairman of Forbes Marshall Private Limited with us. Dr. Forbes, how do you react? What is your first reaction to this budget? Some of your colleagues from CII and FICCI don't seem to be too excited by it. They say that there is not much for industry, corporates to reinvest into this. How do you look at this?
So I think first of all, the budget was a very comprehensive statement. It covered, as the finance minister laid out right at the beginning, 9 different pillars. So he was not aiming only at the corporate sector. He aimed at the economy broadly, and I think he addressed every constituency in the country. I think that was necessary too. So the focus in the budget on the rural economy, on increasing demand from the rural sector was welcome. The focus on infrastructure, particularly on road building and road outlays, was also welcome. And then third, I think there were several measures that were announced on a path forward. For example, in terms of dispute resolution for past tax disputes, in terms of moving from plan, non-plan to revenue capex. These are all ideas whose time has come. And I think I particularly welcomed him. He just made an announcement in passing where he said every new government scheme will have a sunset date and will have a clearly defined outcome. That is hugely powerful. I hope it starts together with all the schemes that were announced in the budget speech today itself. Because if that happens, if starts happening, it can truly transform governance going forward.
Okay, that's very interesting. As far as the manufacturing sector is concerned, because one of your colleagues, he says that there is not much incentive for manufacturing sector. Do you agree with him, or you think there are some things which the finance minister has said and it is still hidden?
Okay. Well, there was nothing directly aimed at the manufacturing sector except for the tax rate for new manufacturing firms, right? But I wasn't really expecting anything aimed directly at the manufacturing sector. The key issue for the manufacturing sector is demand. So how do we most quickly and effectively stimulate demand? And I think the government correctly said that its role in stimulating demand for manufacturing broadly would be to work on stimulating demand from the rural economy and work on stimulating demand from infrastructure and direct infrastructure spending. I think that focus on infrastructure and on the rural economy is well placed. And if as it starts happening and as demand starts reviving, all manufacturing will benefit. So I don't agree with the comment that the manufacturing sector, did not get the kind of focus it needed. I think it was okay.
So, Dr. Forbes, as far as stimulus is concerned, one of the leaders, was talking about this budget having no stimulus. But you think that this, 2.21 lakh crores for infrastructure and also the amount of money which is being put into the rural sector is going to create that stimulus? You think that is what we are looking for creating demand in the domestic demand?
Yes, very much so. I think it will directly create demand. The road building program in particular the road building program has two benefits. One is it deploys a lot of money across the country with a lot of employment creation on a day-to-day basis. That's an extremely powerful stimulus in the short run. But remember, the main objective of a road building program is connectivity, is actually to integrate the country and to integrate markets around the country. So the medium-term benefits from a road building program are massive in terms of the infrastructural benefits that we would get as a country. So I think we should keep our focus on both those, both the short-term stimulus from spending on roads and the long-term benefits to the country from integrating markets and creating a national market.
So Dr. Forbes, you don't have any, do you have any complaints, anything which you were expecting which is not there? You seem to be quite happy with the budget.
Well, I'm happy with the broad direction of the budget. I'm unhappy with three things in the budget. First, I think I would have liked to have heard more about the actual timetable for reduction in corporate taxes. We heard a timetable for the removal of concessions. I would have liked to have seen that accompanied by at least a 1% reduction in the corporate tax rate this year itself, because that would have said, yes, that's indeed going to happen year on year on year going forward as committed last year. Second, I would have liked to have heard more on disinvestment. Yes, the Ministry of Disinvestment has been renamed. It's right to consider it as public asset management, but I think we should remember why disinvestment matters. It matters in terms of raising revenue for the government.